Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Condors Closet studio. Welcome to the show. How's your day been? Having a good one? Watching these episodes, checking out spoilers, spilling your water all over the table, right before the episode starts. That's just how today's been in some ways. It's been crazy. Off the wall. Absolutely. Well, yeah. I mean, it's only going to get crazier because, did you know, did you hear who's back in town? Fblthp has returned. That's right. Fblthp is back. Okay, Borborygmos is back too. And this is actually pretty awesome because you've got, the giant Borborygmos, right? A Cyclops with only one eye. And then you've got the teeny tiny little Fblthp also with only one eye. So between the two of them, they've got two eyes. And yeah, they're ready to come in and just start wrecking things. So let's jump into the commander. Yeah, Borborygmos and Fblthp. I love it. 6/5 Cyclops Homunculus that costs 2 green, blue, red. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, draw a card, then we discard any number of land cards. We discard one or more land cards this way. Borborygmos and Fblthp deal twice the much damage to our creature. And by paying 1 in a blue, put Borborygmos and Fblthp into its owner's library, third from the top. Now, two things. Well, a couple of things. A lot of things. Anyways, first up, that trigger is on ETB and also on attack. Now, yes, we can abuse this, with an attack trigger. With, additional combat spells. Those are obviously going to be in the pricier picks if you would actually be utilizing them. The easier way to use and abuse this trigger, though, in my opinion, is most definitely with the ETB. And that way you can kind of get it whenever you need to as well, because there are plenty of instant speed, enter the battlefield effects, exile effects, blink effects. You know what I mean? So with that, yeah, we've got a lot of potential doing a lot of damage to a creature, and there are certain creatures that we very, very much want to hit. Now, yes, we can take out our opponent's creatures with this just by discarding a couple of lands. We can take out some key creatures on the field. But we also can, maybe hit one of our own creatures. And we'll talk about why we might want to do that when we go through those creatures here in a little bit. Now, the potential for this commander is actually pretty funny because, again, there's some pretty crazy things that you can do with it. And yeah, we just get a ton of lands in our hand, ditch all those lands, dish out a lot of damage. Again, twice as much damage as we are discarding these number of lands. And of course, with those lands in our graveyard, we've got ways to, well, maybe get them back into our hand, maybe get them right into play, ramp way ahead of our opponents, get them from our, hand essentially to the graveyard, to play, back to our hand. There's kind of a cycle that can happen, once we're set up properly, which can be quite fun and quite powerful. On top of that, yeah, let's talk about that last part again. Each of these commanders kind of brings basically part of it to it. The Fblthp part is obviously, the drawing a card, which it does on ETB on the actual Fblthp card. On top of that, being able to shuffle it into the library. Obviously, the big Borborygmos part is, the discarding of lands and dealing damage. Very flavorful, very good combination of these two. But yeah, that putting it in your library can be a bit of a risky proposition because, yeah, your library is not the safest place in Commander. If you were to be forced to shuffle your library and if this is in there, you kind of probably lost it forever then at that point. And if your deck is built around it, which it probably is, that was a bad call. So that is kind of one of those panic buttons that you can hit and be like, I really need to somehow get this. I mean, like, I guess if someone's going to Darksteel Mutation your commander and you're like, okay, I don't have anything that can deal with that right now, so let's just chance it and hope we can get it back from our library. Chances are likely that you probably will. Again, you've got ways to draw into it probably in these colors. So yeah, before someone might force you to be able to shuffle. And there aren't that many force shuffle effects, but still, I am the risk-averse type where unless it's a dire circumstance, I am not going to activate that ability. And if I do, and then end up, having to shuffle my library, that would not be good at all. So yeah, just be careful with that. Yeah, I'm sure there's some people who are less risk-averse who are like, yeah, sure, yeah, if someone's targeting it, I'll just get rid of it. I'll get it back at some point. Be careful, okay? With that, though, anyways, on these episodes, again, we're going to be talking about the budget buys, cards that are less than $1. We're talking about the pricier picks, cards that are over $1, cards that you should be considering for this very exciting commander. And, of course, in the description below, down there, where I'm pointing, there is going to be a link to the cards I'm talking about in this episode. Consider picking up some of those sooner rather than later, because when a new exciting commander like this one is spoiled, well, sometimes cards that work well with it spike in price. Not exactly spike, but some do, but, might go up in price sooner rather than later, so maybe pick some up. Anyways, let's jump into the budget buys. Anyways, so the first card that I really was excited to get to and I could not wait to talk about, Body of Knowledge. This is a really fun card. You need to be somewhat careful with when you're working with it, but yeah, if you can get it going, it can get pretty incredible. A star avatar for 3 blue. Power times is equal to the number of cards in your hand. You have no maximum hand size. Whenever it's dealt damage, draw that many cards. Now, you need to be careful with how many lands you're discarding, how many cards you end up with in your hand, and, you know, how much damage you're actually dealing with, because you do not want to take out your own body of knowledge, unless, you know, it's later in the game and you're like, I just need to draw a ton of cards at once. If you can just keep this going, you can just keep dealing more and more damage to it, drawing more and more cards with it. Again, Borborygmos is like, okay, like let's say this has, I don't know, 8 power and you've got 4 lands in your hand. Maybe discard 3 of them, okay? Actually, that would still take it out, wouldn't it? Because it'd be 5. Maybe discard 2 of them, deal 4 damage to it, draw 4 more. You can just keep adding more and more cards to your hand, being able to discard more and more land cards when you keep getting that ETB, because, yeah, there are plenty of ways to use and abuse that ETB, so you can just draw an absurd amount of cards. Again, it gives you no maximum hand size, so you can just have an absurdly large hand, draw a ton of lands, and then utilize them, well, to draw more cards with this, or another way with Stuffy Doll. Yeah, a very exciting. I love this card. Oh, my goodness. So this card, when I got back into Magic, it was one of the first cards I actually opened up in a pack, and I was like, oh, this is pretty sweet. A 0/1 indestructible construct that costs 5, enters battlefield, choose a player. Whenever Stuffy Doll's dealt damage, that player is taking that much damage. Good for you, player. And it can tap to 1 damage itself, which is nice, obviously. But yeah, you're just like, hey, what's your life total? How many lands do I have to discard to actually ping Stuffy Doll for that much, to ping you for that much? And again, it's indestructible, so it's going to be staying in play. And yeah, you can just basically, once you build up enough cards in your hand, take out players with this. And of course, again, we've got ways to essentially, again, like I said, blink our commander. So we can blink this also to reset this and choose a different player after the unlucky player that we chose first got taken out. We can blink it, take another player out, blink it, take the last player out. You see where this is going. Moving on, Teferi's Time Twist. Yeah, plenty of blink effects. Again, we are in blue. Teferi Time Twist is a great one. Exile target permanent you control. Basically turn to the battlefield, say creature gets counter on it. Cool. So again, basically we have our commander as an option. We've got other pieces as an option that we can do. Again, this can basically protect things as well. So keep that in mind. Again, with these blink effects, someone tries to take out our commander. First thought shouldn't be, oh, activate ability of commander, put it in the library. It should be, hey, do I have a blink spell that I could utilize right now? Draw a card. It's going to get replaced. I mean, you're going to replace your Teferi's Time Twist because your commander draws you a card. You don't have to discard, you don't have to start discarding lands if you don't need to right then and there. So yeah, might as well just utilize your blink spells effectively and yeah, make sure that you are protecting your commander, using your blink spells well, and utilizing them when you need to for that damage effect with your lands. Next up, Mirror March. With those blink spells, those pair incredibly well with a card like this. Whenever a non-token creature is battlefield under control, flip a coin to you, lose a flip. For each flip you won, create tokens, copy that creature. Those tokens gain haste, exile begin the next 10 step. Now, Borborygmos and Fblthp, obviously, legendary creature. Legend rule applies. You're not going to be able to keep the tokens. Oh, no, so sad. Doesn't matter. You are getting that ETB still, which means that you are getting additional card draw. And technically, if you really want to split up kind of the discarding lands, the damage that you're dishing out, you could with this too. So you're like, okay, yeah. I blink it. It comes back and play Teferi's Time Twist. I Mirror March. I get 2 coin flips in my favor. Cool. I get 2 extra copies of that. That is 3 ETB triggers off of my commander's triggers. Well, commander and the tokens, you know what I mean. So I draw 3, and I can start discarding lands to each one of those if I want to actually dish out damage. So, yeah, I mean, at the very least, you're getting additional card draw out of this. Again, yes, you might whiff. There's times where you might not get a coin flip going your way. That's okay. The more times that you're blinking your commander throughout the game, and again, there's going to be a lot of those, the more chances you have of flipping correctly, and potentially even flipping a couple times in a row to give you a lot of additional advantage with this. Speaking of additional, hey, also have Warstorm Surge in play. That's quite nice. Whenever a creature in its battlefield under control deals damage equal to its power to any target, again, your commander does have double checking now. 6 power, so every single time it comes into play, yeah, deal additional 6 damage to something. That is fantastic. No lands discarded needed. Okay, so yeah, deal to your opponent's faces, deal to their creatures, maybe deal to your own creatures, maybe again, do it to your body of knowledge, do it to your, Stuffy Doll. Be able to, dish out even more damage or something like this. You can use this, like where Ancient's Tread, other cards like that can really take advantage of your commander coming back into play again and again and again. Next up, Molten the Clouded Mirror, a card that you definitely want to consider for a commander like this for a couple of reasons. Mainly, hey, do you need more lands in your hand? Maybe you've got that Stuffy Doll in play. You've got your opponent down to like 10 life or maybe even 20 life. And you're like, if only I could just, get enough lands in my hand. I got like 3 lands in my hand right now, and I've got a blink spell ready. If only I could get enough lands in my hand to actually take that player out. Oh, I've got Molten in play. I'm just going to bounce like 7 lands back to my hand, blink my commander, and then ditch all those lands, hit the Stuffy Doll, hit them. yeah, it can be a high-risk, high-reward play, but there are also ways to take advantage of your lands getting in your graveyard, too. We'll talk about those here in a little bit. But, yeah, also on top of that, when you are bouncing these lands back to your hand, you're also making, a little cute illusion army, right? And they've got flying, so having a bunch of evasive creatures, that can be impactful as well. It can really help you finish out a game, again, in a variety of ways. Next up, Gush. Simple spells like this can also be very impactful. Hey, instead of actually spending the 5 mana to cast this to draw the 2 cards, you can just bounce 2 islands back to your hand. Cool. Helps again, with actually just casting this for free. Helps also with getting lands in your hand so you can discard them with your commander. And again, like I said, we've got ways to actually get them out of our graveyard. Like Splendor Reclamation. Hey, this actually wants lands in your graveyard. You can essentially cheat lands into play by cheating them in your graveyard with your commander and then cheating them out of there. Anyways, return all the hit cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. I probably should have started with that. So essentially for 4 mana, let's say you discarded 10 lands throughout the game with your commander. You're like, 4 mana, ramp 10? Get way ahead of you. Eventually, you can utilize the game with like a Moloku to get those lands back in your hand if you need to discard with your commander. A lot of exciting plays can happen with something like this. And of course, yeah, this can just get you way ahead of your opponents. Essentially, again, 4 mana, ramp 10. What's not to love? Next up, Abundance. Also, hey, what's not to love? Being able to choose what you want to draw. Do you want to land or not land? Basically, pick one or the other. Every time you're drawing a card, you can go pick whatever you want. So again, kind of with your commander's trigger, you can be like, oh, I would like to add to my land count actually. So I'm going to choose land, get a land into my hand, adds to my land count, can discard those lands, ping whatever it is. Again, stuffy doll, body of knowledge, opponent's creature, whatever you need to ping. This is a good way to ensure that you can hit the cards that you want to hit. When you don't want to hit lands, don't hit lands. When you want to hit lands, hit lands. It can be a very effective card in a lot of situations for you. It can really just help smooth out your draws, which just, it's a great effect. It's a very fun card to utilize with the commander like this. But now let's talk about the pricier picks. We're moving on to the cards that are outside of my budget, cards that are more than $1. And a card that is a lot more than $1. Fire Emancipation Line. This is like 20 or 30 or 40. I don't even know. I think it's around 30 bucks or so. Enchantment for 3 red. Hey, if a source you control deal damage to a permanent player deals triple that damage to that permanent player instead. Basically a damage tripler. Gross. Hey, you know how, again, you got that stuffy doll in play and you're like, let's discard a land. And that usually is 2 damage with your commander. Now it's 6. So again, every single one of those lands you discard is going to be 6 damage to that stuffy doll, 6 damage to, your opponent's face, essentially, after that. And yeah, again, just regularly, even if you're just discarding them to, actually ping your opponent's creatures, you just basically have to discard 1 land now to take out pretty much any creature. Most creatures have a toughness of 6 or less. And if they just are slightly tougher, sure, discard 2 lands. Of course, damage triplers like this one, and actually I had a recent episode on maybe something similar to this one. Make sure you check that out at some point. But also damage triplers, damage doublers, those can obviously be incredibly impactful. They can matter like this, so make sure you're considering those. And yeah, the vast majority of those are pricier picks. So yeah, if you got the budget for them, make sure you're considering them. Also, I really wish this card was budget friendly. Why are you not under $1? Creeping Renaissance, get another reprint, please. I love you. Choose a permanent type, return all cards as type for your graveyard to your hand. Flashback. Yeah, you're gonna choose lands. Let's say you've discarded again 10 lands throughout the game. Cool, let's get all those back into our hand. Utilize them with our commander, discard them, ping the stuffy doll, ping an opponent's face. There's plenty of ways to tutor, for, well, I guess I was going to say there's plenty of ways to tutor for, creatures in green. So yeah, go get your stuffy doll, get into play. Make sure that you're getting yourself, set up for this kind of a play where you can be like, okay, I take 1 player out. Okay, I flash it back. I take another player out. Fantastic. I absolutely love this card. Again, Wizards, please reprint it. Please reprint it. Fantastic card. Okay, next up, Life on the Loam. A card that will probably never be budget friendly. A very good card in other formats as well. Sorcery for 1 and a green. 2 mana. Bring 3 lands from your graveyard back to your hand. Yeah, that's a good rate. And also, it's got Dredge 3. So, hey, you can, instead of drawing, which, you're going to be drawing plenty of cards with this commander, get this back in your hand and then do it again. After, you mill 3 cards. Potentially even lands to get more lands in your graveyard. This is just a great card, especially for a commander like this that really can utilize lands in the best of ways. So, yeah. If you've got the budget for it, make sure that you're considering this card. Moving on, Storm Cauldron. Hey, each player can play an additional land during their turns. That's nice. That's fantastic. Cool. We're going to play extra lands. Oh, also, just a tiny little detail in this card, too. Hey, if you happen to tap a land for mana, which most lands tap for mana, return it back to its owner's hand. So just bounce that land back to your hand. Now, this can be detrimental to your opponents. Your opponents can just be panicking and be like, oh my gosh, what do? I can only tap like these 2 lands. I gotta cast things. Oh no, but if I tap these lands, then it bounces back to my hand and then I've got no lands in play. Yeah, that can be very panic-inducing for your opponents, which is just great. They're gonna make some misplays. It's gonna be fun. But for you can be like, oh, cool. Tap all these lands, bounce back to my hand, discard all of them, Ping Stuffy Doll. Ping you. Splendid Reclamation. Get all those lands on my graveyard back in play. Cool. Yeah, this can just be a very, very good card in a lot of scenarios and can really help you out in some unexpected ways too. Next up, I brought this card I think like 5 times this spoiler season. My goodness. Teferi's Aegis Insight, a great card, and a Thought Reflection is a good budget version of it that I probably should have brought up too. If you draw a card except the first one you draw, each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. Again, your commander draws you a card on a trigger. You're going to use that trigger a lot. Again, with a lot of blink effects and copy effects, etc., etc. So now every single time you do that, you're drawing 2 cards instead of 1. What's not to love? You're doubling up your card advantage from this. A fantastic effect. Speaking of fantastic effect, you can double that up even more. Molten Echoes. Hey, remember earlier when we talked about the coin flipping and how sometimes that might not work out? Sometimes it does. This one is pretty much a guarantee. Hey, as it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. You can either choose Cyclops or Homunculus, whatever you'd like to choose. If you've got another one in the deck, which you probably won't, maybe you do, maybe you've got the other Borborygmos in the deck, then yeah, choose that one. Cool. Have fun. Because whenever a non-token creature of the chosen type enters the battlefield under your control, create tokens to the copy of that creature. Basically, so as long as you choose either Cyclops or Homunculus, get a copy of your commander, okay? And then again, that ETB happens, and then yeah, you just get to keep having more and more fun. Again, your blink spells are essentially doubled when you've got something like this in play because you're taking even more advantage of them. Again, with this in play, with Teferi's Time Twist, you're getting to draw even more cards out of your commander. It is fantastic. Next up, we got Condors Closet. Yeah, this is a card that I really wish would be budget at some point. It never has been, probably never will be. Hey, at the beginning of your end step, blink a creature that you control. So, yeah, basically a free draw every single turn with your commander, a free opportunity to utilize that effect, to actually discard lands, to ping something. Just a great card. Card that, again, has a lot of applications for a lot of commanders, so probably not going to be budget anytime soon. Speaking of which, did I Navigator? Yep, not budget either. Probably never budget anytime soon either. Soul Bond, as long as it's paired with the other creature, each of those creatures has to pay 1 in a blue, exile it, bring it right back. So basically, pay 2 mana, blink this creature. This goes infinite with a couple of things. So yeah, it's definitely a combo piece card. Doesn't have to be. It can just be a, hey, you know what, my commander needs to blink right now so I can draw a card. Or my commander needs to blink right now so I can start discarding some lands after drawing a card to ping something. So yeah, this just going to be a great effect to just have in play and essentially just be a ready-to-go blink whenever you need it. And a repeatable one at that. Finally, and I think this is the final card. Let's see. I might not mess up. Brash Taunter. Basically a better version of Stuffy Doll. Sorry, Stuffy Doll. A 1/1 indestructible goblin. It says whenever it's dealt damage, deals damage to target opponent. Pay 2 in a red tap. It fights on a target creature. So first up, well, you can retarget opponents. So you don't have to blink your Stuffy Doll to, reposition it to target another player. This one's just, hey, what opponent do you want to hit in the face? And you're like, that one. Now that one. Now that one, because I took the other 2 out. And also on top of that, of course, this can fight another creature. Even if it's just fighting your commander, which is funny, it is going to deal 6 damage, which is nice. Just a nice additional way. And if someone else has, a giant creature, cool. Fight that creature. This is indestructible. It's going to stick around. I mean, unless that creature is infect. Don't do that if it's got infect. But if it's a giant creature that does not have infect, fight it. Dish out the damage. Again, you can just, again, having multiple copies, kind of like a Stuffy Doll type effect, can be great for a commander like this. It can be a great way to finish off your opponents. Yeah, overall, a really interesting design. I really like the blending of, again, Fblthp and Borborygmos. It's a really cool commander, just kind of utilizing the lands, utilizing the draw, utilizing the, well, if you really want to get risky a little bit, putting it in your library, third from the top. Again, most of the time, it will work out for you. But Chaos Warp is kind of a card that is pretty heavily played in this format. And if you do this and you don't have a way to draw into it, and then someone Chaos Warps one of your things, guess what? You're shuffling your library, and your commander very well might be at the bottom of your library, and you may never see it again for the rest of the game. And if your entire deck's built around your commander, which with a commander like this one, it probably is, that might have been the wrong call. So again, me, a bit more risk averse when it comes to those kind of things. You, maybe not. That's okay. Make whatever decisions you want to make. Have a good time with this commander. Again, it seems like a lot of fun. There's some really exciting things that you can do with it. Yeah, a lot of good budget buys, a lot of good, pricier picks. Make sure you're checking out that card list link in the description below and pick up some of those cards sooner rather than later. Because, yeah, I think a lot of players are going to be excited about Fblthp's return and Borborygmos' return. But, yeah, Fblthp's kind of back. Also, if you haven't seen my most recent episode on City on Fire, make sure you check that out. Because there's a reason why I'm saying Wizards. Why? Why, Wizards? Why? But, yeah, make sure you check that episode out at some point. Make sure you comment below with your thoughts on this commander. And, of course, make sure you're staying tuned to this channel for more exciting quick takes and spoilers coming out. And, yeah, as always, thanks again and have a good one.
This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you.
If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.